Jeremy Harris was there on the scene earlier, just ran back to the scene and is there standing by for us, we understand, to bring us the very latest on what's been happening. And Jeremy, you say this is a scene unlike any other you've seen.
Absolutely, Amy. The scene here when I arrived was very chaotic, and even right now we are staying a little bit back because we were concerned for our safety if we got any closer. I'll step out of the way, take a look. This is at 500 West and 200 South. There is still a heavy police presence, and as Lisa was just telling us, this was a very chaotic scene for officers when this happened. Now, on that street corner there at 5th West and 2nd South, the officers that I were talking to over here told me that they had people throwing rocks. The officer described them as cantaloupe-sized rocks that they were throwing at the officers. They also said there was glass being broken and thrown at the officers. I saw a garbage can that was tipped over. All of the garbage was taken out of it and thrown onto the street. So the officers told me when I got there, they said, "We cannot guarantee your safety here. Enter at your own risk." I snapped a couple pictures and got out of there. It was very, very chaotic. You could see in these officers that there was very heavy tension as this situation unfolded. We also saw a heavy police presence from other agencies as well. Unified Police, Murray, the Utah Highway Patrol, all sent units down here and with emergency response to help out Salt Lake City Police because they say that this was a very intense, very chaotic scene as there were lots of people down here. We also heard some of those groups. There was like an organized group standing on the street corner. They were chanting vulgarities at the police officers that were there. It seems to have calmed down at this point. The police seem to have dispersed the crowd. Certainly less of a police presence, at least here along 5th West, than there was even just a half an hour ago. So cops seem to have everything here under control. This investigation, of course, still in the very early stages. They tell us that they believe that one person was shot, and they are still trying to sort out exactly who may have fired that weapon, who was the victim. But certainly down here, tension's very high. The passerbys have been telling us. One person walked by and said, and just shouted, "Black Lives Matter." So whether or not there was some sort of race element included in this, those are all details that we are working with Salt Lake City Police right now to determine. We will, of course, keep you posted on this breaking news. Amy and Brian, back to you.
Well, Jeremy, a quick question for you. I know we are still waiting for confirmation from Salt Lake City Police on maybe what started this all, but are you hearing more from witnesses about kind of what sparked it?
Well, Amy, on a Saturday night here in the homeless district, there are a lot of people outside of the homeless shelter at 250 South Rio Grande Street. So that's where the shooting happened. So likely dozens, if not 100 people or so saw this shooting go down. So they say that may have been what really kind of sparked the rioting response, was that so many people saw it, and there may have just been almost sort of like a mob mentality that kicked in when that happened, because there were at least dozens, if not 100 people in that area when this shooting happened.
Jeremy, I can remember covering the Olympics, and there was a riot downtown during the Olympics, and I remember really walking on Main Street and seeing all the broken glass after this was over. Did you see any remnants, any debris other than that trash can that you spoke of that would suggest that this became a very dangerous situation for officers?
Absolutely, Brian. We saw glass bottles in the streets. The officers again said that some of the bystanders that were there rioting or that were aggressive towards the police had picked up some of the rocks that were in this area. Just unfortunately on the ground there are some large rocks, kind of landscaping size, and the officers say that these were at least some of the rocks that the bystanders picked up and were hucking at the officers. So you can imagine how tense that was for them, and honestly, I'm surprised that there was, perhaps not more of a use of force against those bystanders. Again, we don't know all the details of exactly how that played out. We did hear that one person may have been tased from another officer, so still a lot of fresh details. And again, Brian and Amy, this is still unfolding. Investigators have much of this area still closed down, so details are going to kind of play out here over the course of the next few hours.
And we heard the Salt Lake police spokesman say he couldn't confirm that there was an officer-involved shooting. There was, in fact, a shooting. Somebody got shot, right?
That is what we understand, Brian. And in fact, when we originally spoke with police about this, they confirmed that a suspect was down. That led us to believe that this was an officer-involved shooting. But again, like Lisa Nico said here, maybe within the next 10 to 15 minutes, we will get that confirmed from Salt Lake City Police.
All right, Jeremy Harris, Lisa Nico earlier on the scene for us. A lot of great reporting out there as we try to figure out exactly what happened. But right now, we do know that police clashing with protesters, a large police presence in that area downtown. They're trying to keep people out. The Jazz game recently just finishing, what's that, 10, 20,000